Welcome into a live edition, Tuesday edition of the Desmond Johnson Show here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. You can see the video every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at youtube.com/at Tobacco Road Sports Radio. I got my guy Jaelen Gilkey in the house from WFMY News 2, Sports Anchor. We got a surprise today. 9-year NFL vet George Teague joining us, former NFL safety with the Packers, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, wrecked shop at the University of Alabama. Wanted him on this week because we're going to talk some college football, and we're actually going to talk some NFL football too. We got a lot to get to, so without further ado, go ahead and roll my promo. It's the Desmond Johnson Show.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been number one, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's fourth and inches, I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And pull up a chair. It's lunchtime. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. It's Tuesday. It's live every Tuesday. Jaelen Gilkey in the house from WFMY News 2, sports reporter who co-hosts with David Glenn, alternating weeks. And we got special guest George Teague, 9-year NFL safety out of the University of Alabama, drafted by the Green Bay Packers in '93. Also played for the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. Greetings, gentlemen. What's up, man? What's going on? How are y'all weekend?
Hey, man. I'm super blessed, man. I'm glad to have another opportunity. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays to everybody out there. Trying to recover. Had a rough weekend, but get back to it.
Man, it's crossover season. You know about crossover season, Jaelen, where it's that special time of the year in November when basketball begins and football's not quite over. So for those of us in the sports media world, it just does this. There's nothing we can do about it. So we're just kind of holding on for the ride. George, I know you're dabbling a little bit more in sports media nowadays. You're probably seeing a little bit of the crossover season November now into December as well. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, I have been, trying to get like you, brother, man, just doing this thing out here. And, I love doing what I do, being able to cover the Dallas Cowboys, on CBS 11 out here locally. Doing some stuff on the radio, but I'm what Jaelen was talking about, man. That crossover season, it just seemed like it was crossover from plate to plate, man. I didn't have
there we go.
I gotta get back in the gym, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We were talking about it the other day. Me and my wife were like, "What's the cutoff date for when you gotta throw stuff out the refrigerator from Thanksgiving?" Like in your house, everybody's house has a different cutoff date. It's never really spoken, but you just kind of know, okay, we're pushing it like too far. I say Sunday. So once you get to Sunday, you probably need to don't touch the turkey anymore because
you got 3 days. You got 3 days.
Friday, Saturday. That's 4 days. Like
y'all boys spoiled. My mama say eat it till it's gone. If you don't see the bottom of the Tupperware, don't ask for nothing else.
That's how you know you made too much. That's how you know you made too much. It tastes very good. If
I'll sit around and just huddled over like on couches. Like 2 weeks later, just like, oh, what's wrong with my stomach? I don't understand. It's that turkey from 2 weeks ago.
She ain't getting back in there.
Day old turkey though is the best turkey. Put a little gravy on it, put it on a sandwich. Like it was good. It was good. But this I want to get into the main thing coming out of the NFL this past week. Normally on Tuesday we do 3 things I love, hated about the weekend. One of the things I hated was the Trevor Lawrence hit that happened on Sunday. If you didn't see, the Texans and the Jaguars were getting after it. Texans GM Nick Caserio just finished talking really about 30 minutes ago. Where basically he was calling the league's wording and characterization of Azeez Al-Zahir, who had the hit, basically BS. I'm going to go find the hit, and so we can put that up on the screen for those that haven't seen it yet, but I won't keep it running for long. But just thoughts on this. First from you, Jaelen, looking at it as a sports reporter, do you think the league got it right? Because they suspended him 3 games. They announced that earlier today. Do you think they got it right? Should it have been 3 games? Should it have been less? Should it have been more? Do you think it was a dirty hit? Because there's a difference, I think, between dirty and vicious. Like dirty to me is like intent. Vicious is just like I was coming at him, I was going to hit him hard regardless. He started to slide, that kind of thing. So, what were your thoughts on it as I go pull up the video of the hit? And did the NFL get it right?
So, there's a lot of things that play into the actual suspension. Of course, Al Shire's got a bit of a record when it comes to borderline hits. A couple from this year, a couple from throughout his career. So, of course, the league office is going to take all of that into effect when, naming this suspension. This hit in particular, I think he went in with bad intentions for sure. And in my opinion, it looked like Trevor slid a little late. Nothing. I'm not putting anything on him to blame on Trevor. I think it was just kind of one of those bang bang plays. And the real issue was just the forearm and the use of the forearm brace, in my opinion, to the head. With that being the case, it was pretty clear from the beginning, especially with the fallout after what the ruling was going to be. There was going to be some type of suspension and another fine for Al Shire. So I don't think it was too much. I mean, I'm sure he's going to appeal and maybe get it knocked down to just 2 games. Hopefully, I hate to see guys lose checks, hate to see guys lose money. I mean, football is in its core a violent and dangerous game. And, trying to legislate some of these things out of the game makes it hard for the players on the field to actually play the game, because the situation right here, I mean, I don't really understand what else he was really to do when he started sliding.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of bang, bang, but like, he's sliding here right at the same time.
He was already hitting. Now, I would say the problem there with the NFL, one of the main, another point the NFL may be harping on here is the fact that he technically was launching.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably going to be a problem. But I mean, I think there's no clear distinction between a vertical launch or like a horizontal launch. Like football, like how do you really tackle without propelling yourself and your momentum through the guy's chest? You got to wrap. If I'm not mistaken, George is rapid drive, right? That's the
I was going to say we got the perfect person on today to kind of explain this. Former NFL safety George Teague. Your thoughts when you saw this? Do you think the league got it right in terms of suspension? And did Trevor slide late? Because that's what the Texans are saying. The Texans are basically saying that Trevor slid too late, and that's what caused it. And on one hand, I'm like, maybe, but there's a time and place for that kind of conversation. I don't think this was the time to try to bring that kind of thing up. What were your thoughts, George?
You don't, but let me look right here at this point, right there. It can look like to a defender. How many times have you got jumped over now? I know it's a quarterback, but the motions, we're not really necessarily trying to look at it like that from a player. I'm not, this is a vicious hit, like you're saying. I don't know that it was dirty, as you said, because now at this point, as a tackler, you got to start to think, okay, what is he going to do to me? Is he going to juke me or not? Do you automatically assume that just because he's a quarterback that he's going to go down? Is this the same call against Jalen Hurts, or somebody else who's running the ball? There's so many factors into this. So, none of us as players, and I think that's why you saw the players react the way they did towards Tahir, because you don't want to see these kind of hits, even as a player, because it can be career ending, right? And so I think that's where the alarm is coming from, even particularly when you think of Tua and other people who are really taking some serious head injuries as quarterbacks. So do I think they got it right? I think it's the right call. I do think it's the right call because it will eventually slow some guys down and make them rethink, hey, if the quarterback has the ball, he's in the open field, he's getting ready to slide, you just kind of got to get out of the way.
Now, but see, I was just real quick, I think, on the other side of that, in the defense of Al Shire, right? I mean, we just saw this with Patrick Mahomes at Carolina when he was running towards the sideline at the end of the game. Yeah. Right at the end of the game,
he does it all the time.
He does it all. Everybody think he going out of bounds, and then he cut back in. He going for 35 yards, and the game
literally won the game. Yeah, literally won the game.
I think we have to go a step further because I agree with you, and I get mad at Mahomes all the time because he ran over somebody at the goal line too, and the DB was like, "Oh man, what?"
And now you flexing like, "Come on, man, let's stop."
Yeah, and then you flexing, but we got to find is there another way that a quarterback can give himself up? Is there a signal? Is there something? I don't know. Yeah, we got the fair catch wave, all this kind of stuff. I know you're running down the field, but there has to be something because the timing is critical. He slid late. I 100% agree with that. You need to give up yourself earlier. If you're running down here and if you truck and then all of a sudden you want to go down, no, man, I can't stop in this full speed contact game and just try to avoid you at this point. It's not, I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to blow out a knee. I'm going to get run over by somebody else. I'm trying to jump out of the way. It's too much, of not also protecting the defender a lot as well. So I don't necessarily like it, but I do think that we really got to look to say, why can't they just dive forward? Give yourself up. Going down is inherently the wrong way to do it. I believe that because what happens is your head snaps.
Right. That's what happened with him, where he was sliding. He still gets hit anyway. And because of him sliding back, it exposes the back of his head for potential contact. And I'm glad somebody brought up the Pat Mahomes thing because you remember a couple of years ago, Kenny Pickett in the ACC championship game, Pittsburgh, I think they were playing Wake Forest. I can't remember who it was, but he took off running down the field and kind of acted like he was going to go down. He did a little juke thing or whatever, and the defender just kind of stopped, and he kept on running for like another 30 yards or whatever, and it became a big deal. And I think they changed the rule in college football where you got to do something to give yourself – you can't fake giving yourself up. That don't really exist in the NFL. And Pat Mahomes, the way he does it, it's always the sideline. He's always running towards the sideline, and you're thinking, okay, he's running out of bounds. And he don't necessarily do like a specific move. He just turns upfield. He just literally turns upfield and just starts running along the sideline. So now as the defender, you have a choice to make in terms of he's still straddling the sideline. Yeah. So all he has to do is step out. And if I hit him as soon as he steps out, it's going to be a penalty against me in the defense at 15 yards to whatever he just did. If I don't hit him, he's just going to keep running down the sideline. And that's literally what happened in the Carolina game 2 weeks ago where he got out of the pocket, started going towards the sideline. The defense starts letting up, thinking he's going out. And he just turns it upfield and runs another 25 yards, gets them in field goal range. Boom, game is over. And it's like, what are you supposed to do as a defender in that situation? And for you, George, I'm sitting back thinking, was that even a illegal hit? Like when you were playing, like what just happened there? Was that a illegal hit back then? Because I don't remember that being an illegal hit, really. Like,
no, you could do that. There's a whole lot more you could do. You were closing on the people and wasn't targeting, and you could fall on a quarterback when you were tackling him and tackling him. So
you can't do none of that now. So it's
I think but you got a great point there, and how do you stop the fakes? So if we're going to protect them, you need to protect them, and you need to not let them abuse that. They need to be penalized if they're going to fake like they're falling out. Oh, it's just over. No, you're putting yourself in danger, and you're making it too hard for me. Don't let Mahomes run out. Just pretend like you're going to run out of bounds, or any quarterback for that matter. If you're straddling the sideline, either get out of bounds or take this shot. One of the two.
We saw Caleb Williams learn that lesson on Thanksgiving.
Yes,
get out of bounds, son.
Yeah, get out of bounds. Because just because you're the quarterback don't necessarily mean you're completely protected. You can't run around. Not everybody's Pat Mahomes. Like Pat Mahomes is pretty protected at this point. They're going to protect him, but not everybody's Pat Mahomes. So these quarterbacks need to kind of take that in consideration. Got George Teague in the house. Got Jaelen Gilkey in the house with me here on the Desmond Johnson Show on this Tuesday. Where we got a little snow. I don't know if it snowed out in Greensboro, Jaelen, but we got a little snow on the ground out here in Winston. It's the first time in 2 years. We ain't had snow. I don't know. They closed school, George. It was 2/10 of an inch of snow, and they shut it down. They're like, no, we ain't going to school today. Now, Grant, I'm making jokes about it, but there was a lot of accidents and stuff this morning too. So there was a lot of black ice and stuff. So good call, Winston Forsyth County Schools for shutting it down. Who's your coach of the year? There's a couple of guys in the NFL. It changes for me each week, but I want to see what you guys say first because there's just one name in the back of my head that's just been sitting there all year, and I'm just like, I don't have a reason to not give it to him at this point, but I want to hear you guys first. Who's your NFL coach of the year at this point with 5 games to go? Jaelen, we'll hit you first.
All right, so right now I got two candidates in the running, one in the NFC, one in the AFC.
Okay.
On the NFC side, I gotta go Kevin Stefanski with the Vikings.
The Vikings, okay.
There was so much in the offseason. You lose your starting quarterback. Cousins goes to Atlanta. You draft a rookie high. He blows his knee. Then you come in with Sam Darnold on the renovation project, and he went from a 1-bedroom flat, now he 3-bedroom penthouse. Like now Sam Darnold look like he's gonna be commanding some serious money this offseason.
Yeah.
So
was here last year.
They're still in contention. In the divisions, still in contention for the 1 seed. Well, technically still in contention for the 1 seed in the NFC side. So I got Stefanski over there, and then of course just steady Eddie out there in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin. Swapping out the quarterbacks, doing was in a situation where he had a quarterback who was winning games, but he knew there was another level to his offense, and brought in Russ after Russ healed up, and now they're really rolling. I mean, and I think they're probably one of the bigger surprises of the year as well. I think those two teams, just because where they were slated to finish when the season started and where they're at now, I think those two coaches are most deserving in my eyes.
George, your thoughts? Coach of the year, 5 weeks to go?
Yeah, I'm starting with Sean Payton and the Broncos. Again, kind of piggybacking off what he said, of just what you really expect out of this team. I know I wasn't expecting this type of stuff, and the way they're playing, and the way he's got Bo Nix playing, and he's got the defense rolling. I mean, there's just so many good things that are starting to come together. Will they make it to the playoffs and all that? I guess you still got to wait and see. But I think they're playing at a pretty high level, and I know I wasn't really expecting this out of them. So he would be my number one guy because he said too. I just love Dan Campbell on the other side. Yeah. It is what it is, but he's a former player, and he just got those guys playing like lights out. I mean, they're beating people, they're physical, they're all this other kind of stuff. And it's just what you like to see. But my number one guy is Sean Payton.
Okay. I'm actually I was going Dan Campbell for the longest. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? We kind of not expected Detroit to be good, but we all kind of went into the preseason thinking Detroit had a potential to be really good based off of how they ended last year. So it's not that much a surprise that Detroit's playing the way they are. It is, well, let me rephrase that. It is a surprise that Detroit's playing as well as they are, but it's not a surprise that they are good. So that might kick Dan Campbell out of it, although he's got probably top 3. I'm going to probably go Mike Tomlin because even though we didn't expect it, we should have, because the man's never had a losing record as an NFL head coach, and it's Pittsburgh. They're going to do exactly what Pittsburgh does. And I love Mike Tomlin. I didn't want to play it because he's cussing in it, but there's him in the tunnel at the end of the game this week where he was mic'd up for Hard Knocks, and they're taking the mic off of him. He's like, get this off me, but that's not exactly how he said it. And then a player walks by. It's a Pittsburgh lineman, and they're like, "Oh man, he was mic'd up the whole time," and he's just like, "Shut up, get in there, get in the locker room." It's like this is the way he talks to folks. It's just like I see a little bit of it in Thomas Brown, the interim head coach at Chicago, who was in Carolina last year, as kind of sort of the offensive coordinator with all that what was going on with Frank Wright or whatever. He was 1 week, then he wasn't the next week, then he was 1 week, then he wasn't the next. Now he's in Chicago and just literally leveled up by just sitting in the same seat in the cafeteria for like 6 weeks, and literally just went to like
passing game coordinator.
Yeah, coordinator to offensive coordinator to head coach. Like he did nothing and literally got to this spot. And now he's in a position. I saw him in his press conference. I closed my eyes, like he sounds like Mike Tomlin. He literally sounds like Mike Tomlin Jr. if you sit there and listen to him. So I'm going Mike Tomlin because, again, like Jaelen said when he picked Mike, when he switched out Russell Wilson and when he switched Justin Fields out for Russell Wilson, they were like 4-1 or something like that. Like everyone was like, "What are you doing?" And Tomlin had the gumption to be like, "Look, we need to be better than this to play against the Chiefs, the Ravens, the whoever in the Bills in the AFC playoffs, and we can't do it with what Justin is doing." And Look at him. Russell Wilson goes out and throws for damn near 500 yards or whatever it was on Sunday or whatever, and it appears it's working. And they're starting. Russell Wilson looked like the best player in the NFL on Sunday for some reason. Like I don't know what happened, but that gradual growth. That's a Mike Tomlin move, and like Mike Tomlin is so much of a man of his conviction, like a man of his word. Like you can trust where he stands on. Like if you're an NFL player, I can imagine you would love to play for Mike Tomlin. Like there's a handful of guys you would love to play for. Mike Tomlin's one of those, Dan Campbell's one of those guys too, I believe. But I'm kind of going with Mike Tomlin right now. That could change with 5 weeks to go in the season. But Pittsburgh they're the most quiet 10-2 team you're probably going to see. Like you're not, which is weird because it's Pittsburgh, but you don't see a lot of people pushing Pittsburgh to get to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are still out there winning games they're not supposed to be winning. The Bills are literally, I think, at the last year of that title window, and they realize it. Like, if it's not now, when is it going to be? Like, the Bills need to get the 1 seed, pretty much, in my opinion, to make this work. And then you got the Steelers kind of sitting there, just disrupting everything. Like, they've won some games without scoring touchdowns. Like, they literally are just playing dirty, just Pittsburgh football, and that wins in December and January. So, shout out to Mike Tomlin. Shout out to Russell Wilson, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to pick them for my coach of the year going into this. I want to skip over real quick before we get out of here while I got George in here because he did go to the University of Alabama. There was a lot of chippiness. Well, chippiness ain't even really describing it. In college football this past Saturday, there were a lot of fights. It was rivalry week, and it was probably the most unhinged one ever. Michigan, Ohio State ended in a fight. North Carolina State, Carolina ended in a fight. Arkansas versus Missouri ended in a fight. Auburn, Alabama ended in a fight. Notre Dame versus USC ended in a fight. Florida versus Florida State ended in a fight. Texas versus Texas A&M kind of almost ended in a fight. Sarkisian pulled his team off the field before they really could meet them there. But I was going to pull up this view of Michigan, Ohio State, where, for starters, Ohio State fans need to be mad at their own team. There was no reason why y'all should have lost this football game. No. And you're probably still going to get into the college football playoff, but you're not getting in as a And
I'm gonna be honest now, they didn't help themselves with how they behaved after the game.
Right.
Because these are people that are going to hold that against them when it's about time to put their name in that field of 12. Now I know the brand of Ohio State and the viewership and the eyes are going to be more impactful, but when you after you lose a game that you were favored to win by 3 touchdowns, and then this is how you act.
Yeah.
And when you still got a chance to keep playing, like
you lost. You lost the game.
Nah, man. You look at the beginning of that. Did you guys see what they were doing? They were down there singing their alma mater, and these people out here waving their flag on their doggone.
Yeah, I didn't say they didn't have a point. I'm just saying sometimes because you got to think there's a possibility there's going to be some people that get suspended. Now they don't even have a Big 10 championship game for those guys to be suspended. That's going to affect them if they do make it to the playoffs.
They get to the playoff, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot that go with that. And I don't think that coaching staff handled this correctly. Honestly, I don't really blame the players. I think the coaching staff allowed this to go on to an effect. And now this is, George, this is something that coaches always tell you about. When you play on a team that has nothing to lose, you can't let them take you there.
Yep. That's what Michigan played like on Saturday. And like Ohio State, this is bubbles over here. And yeah, Ohio State's going to get into the college football playoff. They're going to be a 2-loss team, but their losses are to Oregon. That'll be the one, and pending the Big 10 championship, and then this. So
let me get real personal with y'all on this, okay? And I know it's a little bit different, right? But I have been recognized or known to hit said player Terrell Owens off the star.
That was you.
Middle of the field.
That was you.
That was me.
That was you.
So I know. And now what people will say is, well, George, you shouldn't have let him score the touchdown. You shouldn't have lost the game. That is a bunch of baloney, man. Just because he's winning or whatever don't mean you just get to go do whatever you want to in the middle of the field.
That's facts.
You're winning. Yeah. There are emotions in the game. There are things. There's been enough trash talk and all this kind of stuff. And you want to try to step on my throat. Now, we as strong men on here too know that there's always a little extra something when people start to go a little bit too far. Like, you won already, man. You won the doggone spade game or the dominoes or whatever it is. But now you're not just going to come over here and stand up on my kitchen table, and pretend like you own the doggone kitchen forever or something of that nature, right? You got to get off my table, man.
Talk on it, George. That's so, exactly.
To me, that is what's happening, right? We know you lost. We know you're going to talk some noise, but now you're doing extra. You're saying, well, planting the flag, what is it? It's extra. It's extra. You've lost. Now you're going just one step past the game. That is not part of the game the way I see it. That's, part of the game is trash talking, yes, but it's not bringing your flag out here and putting it on my logo and pretending like now this is your house.
That was planned. Yeah, that's pre-planned. If we win this game, we are doing this.
You're gonna do this. No. So there's an extra level of defense that has to happen that I think is rightfully so. My last story, and I'll do this because I was a high school coach here in Texas as well, right? There's this team, man, we could not beat this doggone team. They will always be. They're just really good. They won state championship 6 times in a row. Okay, that's how good they are. Well, they're at our place. We lose in overtime or whatever. Well, this coach and the team, whatever, they proceed to have their normal high school talk out in the middle of my field. Everybody takes a knee at the end of the game and talk. Well, he went to the center of the field and they're having a talk. I had to politely walk over and say, no, you guys need to move over about 20, 30 yards. This is where we're going to have our end of the game talk, right?
In your house. Yeah, it's your house, yes. Right? Yeah.
That could have got ugly. That could have did something because we're looking at like, wait a minute. Who does that? Who goes to the middle of someone else's field to have their end of the meeting talk? It's the same way with these doggone flags. You don't do it. Go down the end zone. Go down to 20. Go over the sideline by your fans. Do what you're going to. Wave your flag around. We whooped Miami's tail when we were in the national championship. We had our flag. We didn't go out in the middle of the field and try to do that. We ran around outside the skirts and got our fans hyped and all that kind of stuff. That's part of the sportsmanship part. So
you're absolutely right, George.
And you hit it. Go ahead, John.
But that's an example of good coaching, and it kind of hit back on what I was talking about. Ryan Day didn't handle that. His staff, they didn't handle that right. Yep. They've lost 4 straight games to Ohio State. This senior class has never beaten Michigan.
It's going to be funny. It's going to be funny if Ohio State gets in the playoff, wins national championship, and their fans like, it's not enough.
Not good enough. It's still not good enough.
It's not enough.
Because when you have situations like this, your team's not prepared.
Right.
You underestimate your opponent. You allowed them to get under your skin, do everything they could the whole game to agitate and disrupt your game plan and who you were supposed to be. And then at the end of the game, they got you outside of your character because your coach didn't have your team prepared for the emotions and the ups and downs and the adversity that comes with between the whistles.
But he sat there and watched too.
He sat there and watched.
He sat there and watched.
And act like he knew nothing was going on. Then tried to scramble. No,
it was like watching the cafeteria fight in high school or whatever, and you ain't got nothing to do with it, but it's like 2 people so you just kind of off in the back, like just kind of watching it go on. Like that's what Ryan Day was doing. He's just kind of sitting there with like this, oh man, what's happening? Look on his face, like brother, 80 of those players are yours. Like you need to go do something. That's why I'm like, is Ryan Day the best choice at Ohio State? Because they're gonna have talent up there no matter what.
And I just don't understand how he could really allow this to happen. Because
I
mean, all week long, what are you talking about? They have nothing to do but to beat y'all and try to ruin y'all season.
This is their
season. All they want. This is all they want to do.
This is all.
Their season's been done since week 6.
Yep. And all they did was circle the Ohio State game. This is our national championship.
We're gonna go in here. We're gonna break some windows. We're gonna put our feet up with our shoes up on y'all couch. We're gonna do all the things George said. That's what we're gonna do. Win or lose. That's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna
how y'all gonna react.
We're gonna Rick James the horseshoe real quick. We're gonna come in here and just act a fool. And then again, them doing it to George's point, that's pre-planned. Like you don't just decide to do that. The only person that probably decided to do that in the moment was Baker Mayfield, who kind of started this whole thing.
He did
when Oklahoma beat Ohio State, and he went and put the flag there and kind of made it a thing. where everybody was trying to do it this year. I won't even show the other ones because there was other ones that happened too, but that was the main one because it was the game. It's Michigan, Ohio State, and it happened during that game. If I'm not mistaken, it happened in Alabama, Auburn in the Iron Bowl too at the end of it, where they kind of were getting after it.
It happened out in Canaan too.
They started fighting.
Yeah, so it's like, and to go back to George's point, I love how you roped in high school to this because it kind of starts there. Like if that the players on that team that you were talking about, George, had all that success and they're doing stuff like that, kind of disrespectful stuff in the middle of opposing team's field, those players are going to go into college. Some of those players might be lucky enough to go into the NFL, and they're going to have that mentality with them because in high school, that's really, to me, that's the last level of purity there is in football. Like once you leave high school and you get into college, especially now with NIL and the portal and everything else, you're not necessarily just playing it for the love of the game anymore, which is why I love high school football. I love covering it here in the Carolinas so much, is because it's the last level where you can see kids literally playing a game that you played as a kid for the love of the game, like not necessarily for the money that comes with it or the notoriety or whatever. They're playing because they love to play football. And most of those kids out there, a team that's got 50 kids on it playing, for a good 40 of them, this is going to be the last time they play football. This is going to be the last time they play organized football. And it's like you're teaching these kids not just football, but like life lessons. And when you're telling them it's okay to do something like that, that spills out society-wise, like all over. So I'm glad George brought that part up because you see all these different fights that happened over the course of Saturday. All of those kids, most of those kids probably came from high schools that did little things like that and told them it was okay. You know, and then you got Ryan Day sitting there acting like, well, what do you want me to do? We want you to stop it. It's your team.
They're walking through. Haven't you seen them little TikTok videos with kids walking through
with the belt? Yeah, I was about to ask you about the George. I was about to ask you about
like walking through warm-ups or whatever. Yeah.
No. They at the end of the game going through the handshake line with belts.
Belts. Oh, yeah, I did see that. What is that about? Like, I saw that a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, bro, let somebody pull that out.
We just whooped you.
Yeah, the term is belt to, belt to backside. Other words,
Jaelen, you live out this way. Let them come out here to a Tiny Indians game or something in Winston with belts and see what happened. They already out here fighting already. Like they don't need to.
I wouldn't be surprised by anything I see.
Bro, that's crazy. Those kids are 8-9 years old, like playing Pop Warner, learning how to do that, and then they take that to high school.
They just want to go viral and be on TikTok. That's all.
And that's what we're kind of seeing here, Jaelen. Where in our area, North Carolina, a large part of I'm in Forsyth County where it's open enrollment. So if you're a running back and you want to go play someplace that's a really good school, if you got transportation, you can get there. There's no like real like areas anymore, like districts where you got to play. Guilford County, where Jaelen is, in Greensboro, is the same kind of thing, but there's ways to get around it pretty much.
They got different like scholastic programs. Like you can get different scholastic programs and go to different schools.
So it's wild. And we're in like the semifinal round of the regionals right now for a state championship. So you're seeing the cream of the crop kind of still surviving, like in the area. And you can tell the teams that are disciplined and don't do that kind of stuff as opposed to the teams that do. I won't mention any names, but Jaelen, you probably think of one off the top of your head that I'm thinking of that they'll talk and then they end up losing. They end up losing the game. Just like all that talk at the 50-yard line in the beginning of the game, and the outcome's the same every time. Like, what is happening here? So I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, he's trying to get me in trouble. There.
I know him too. I probably got to see him here in about 20 minutes. So before we get out of here, we hit the Coach of the Year, the Trevor Lawrence joint. Who, if you had to put your money, because we're on a little bit over, if you had to put your money on a college football team to win the whole thing in this new format where they're having to go through 3-4 wins to get to the national championship or whatever, who are you looking at right now? Because it feels like the field is weird because there's no Alabama in it. We're so used to seeing Alabama like in it. Like I can't see Alabama figuring out a way to get into this playoff at this point. So we're probably not going to have Alabama in it. It's weird. Like I'm gonna try to pull up one of the more recent.
My favorites are still Texas and Georgia.
You still hanging on with Georgia? Like after they're almost missed on Saturday with Georgia Tech.
I just don't know about Texas, George. Like
I don't know.
I don't know. I agree. It's just that I think after they took this shakalaka from Georgia a while back, and we'll know after this weekend when they play in the SEC championship if they really.
Right. If they get clapped twice, then
they get clapped twice. That's it.
Go ahead, book them. They done.
No one's even talking about Oregon. And how?
It's because I think I don't know if people believe in the quarterback. I think that's really kind of what it is. That's not moving the needle with work. I know that's me personally. He's just not dynamic. Now he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, which is critical.
Do you think a team like a
Carson Beck make a lot of mistakes?
Yeah.
He's making a lot of mistakes right now.
He's not a first round guy. Like
No,
he's a product of I think the system that he's in. But do you think a team like a SMU, like an 11-1 SMU, say they end up beating Clemson for the ACC championship, they're 12-1, they're probably the 3 seed. Can you see a world where SMU makes it to the national championship in this? I
don't know if they make it all the way. I know they can win a couple games. I don't know if they can win all the way to championship though. I don't know how physical they are. I don't know what their brand of football, if it's going to be able to hold up against a Big Ten or like even if Ohio State gets in. I just think Ohio State might be too physical at the point of attack to move SMU.
Yeah, but I'm going to equate that to I don't know if they got enough depth.
There you go.
Yeah.
Play, but I don't know if they're really ready for all of it yet.
They might be 2-3 years away because they're gonna have a big NIL package down there.
Oh, for sure.
They're gonna have a big NIL package, so they're gonna be able to figure that out. But I think they may be 2-3 years. Actually, my little cousin, he actually just committed there to play basketball.
Hey, congrats!
They got a nice little deal out there.
Yeah. So I mean, and you're gonna see, especially in college football, the Miamis of the world, of course, Oklahoma and Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Ohio State. You're seeing where there was a separation before, where they're always gonna get those recruits and those guys because they have the infrastructure to do it. But now I think what you'll start to see, and Dave Clawson kind of hit on this, the head coach at Wake Forest, where he was like, before when it was almost kind of level, Wake Forest was competing for ACC championships. It was the smallest school in D1, if I'm not mistaken, and they were competing for ACC titles. The past 2 or 3 years, they've bottomed out because NIL and the portal and everything has happened.
They don't have Sam Hartman no more.
They don't have the same.
They don't have Sam Hartman no more.
Well, yeah.
Sam Hartman was keeping it afloat.
Wake was always the type where Dave would keep like 20 redshirt freshmen or whatever, and they ended up being 5-year seniors or whatnot, and he just constantly had 5-year seniors. So they were always an older team. And now you can't depend on that in college football anymore because you can go build an older team. Go ask Dion. Like literally, you can go in the portal and build a team in like 2 weeks. And
perfect example. A lot of people don't realize Kenneth Walker started his career at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
And then went to Michigan State, did the portal and NIL. And then now he's the man out there in Seattle.
And they've had talent out there. And now it's like they weren't able to really get the past 2 years because now they're competing against, these players. I'm seeing players switch schools like every 2 years at this point now, where kids we covered here in high school football. I just saw that Camden Coleman at Richmond's entering the portal, and he was playing great at Richmond, but they're getting enticed to go up a level for wherever they are. And there's no rule saying you can't at this point. Wow. Add in with the COVID extra year that everybody had, that's kind of ending this year. And it's just made it where everything's older. Like everything's older now. So especially like in college basketball, the past couple of years, the older teams have won it. Kansas 3 years ago, UConn the past 2 years. They've been older teams, and usually those teams are going to fare better than like a Duke team with 6 freshmen on it. Yeah. Even more so today in college football, you got 25-year-olds out here playing college football, like literally in their 6th year.
Arkansas got to do this.
You see that tight end from Miami?
I was saying Arkansas
from Miami like 30.
Arkansas got a wide receiver. He's 29. He played baseball.
Yeah, man.
I really did. I don't understand.
The tight end from Miami, he graduated high school 1 year after me. I've been working my career for 6 years. I've been in my career for 6 years. I did my 4 years of. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know he's still here
playing football.
Like Van Wilder, just like hanging out on campus. Yeah,
I do know the 18-year-old kid out there.
Go pay some taxes, man.
Go buy a house. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, man? Get out of here, man. That's crazy. Although, if you could still be on campus at age 30, I don't think I would be at age 30. That's too far.
I mean, if I'm still playing ball, like, and I ain't got to get no job, I'm just hating because I'm pre-portal, I'm pre all of that.
And you went to A&T, so like, if you could have stayed an extra 2 years at A&T, I think you would have took that out.
If you was getting that check. And if you can
that's what I'm saying. Like, if I got a nice little NIL set up and
cool a couple hundred G's or a couple months.
That's why I never got mad at Armando Bacot for staying a 5th year. And I ain't mad at RJ Davis for sitting a 5th year. I think RJ Davis, he's making like $2 million, like playing college basketball as the big man on campus at North Carolina, and you're making $2 million on top of it while you still on campus. please. Like, I'd rather do that than go make $100,000 in the G League playing for the Swarm in Greensboro or whatever. Any day of the week. So
I had to go to Turkmenistan.
Yeah, go play over in Europe or whatever for a little bit and come back. Everybody's like, "Where you been?" Like, no, I'd rather stay at Carolina for a year. So that's that for there. But love having George on. I need to get y'all out of here because I know I made y'all late coming out of y'all lunch breaks or whatnot. Everybody get back to work. Get back to the cubicles. Do what you got to do. Jalen's got to do some stuff. I got to do some stuff. We got to get out of here. But we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, huge high school football preview. If you've been following us all year, you know that East Forsyth and Grimsley are two of my main schools that we have here at Tobacco Road Sports Radio that we cover all their football games home and away. This is the week that we were waiting on all season long. It's do or die time. It's the Western Region 4A semifinals. Grimsley hosting Huff. Many people consider Huff the best team in the state. Grimsley is the number 1 seed. Grimsley has put Huff out the past 2 years in the playoffs. There's a lot going on here. It's at Grimsley. Mike Fanning, Stephen Abernathy are going to be on that call on Friday. We've got it for you on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. And then I'm going down Interstate 77 to Matthews, North Carolina. East Forsyth, who's the 3 seed, and I'm the voice of the Eagles, visiting the defending undefeated state champion Weddington Warriors, who have Thomas Davis's son, Thomas Davis Jr., at linebacker, who just committed to Notre Dame a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken.
And a cast, and he got a crew with him too.
Yeah, they got some dogs over there. That might be the best defense in the state, taking on the top ranked offense in the state in East Forsyth that averages over 50 points a game. Bryce Baker, their 4-star quarterback, who's maybe heading to North Carolina. We might talk about that next week. But yeah, he's currently committed to the University of North Carolina. And I think last I heard, they're waiting to see who they're going to hire.
He opened up some visits, didn't he?
He might have. He may have. I got to talk to him. I need to talk to Bryce and see what's going on.
I thought I saw a couple of. I thought I saw LSU and the Penn State open up.
I'm not at liberty to say. I'm not at liberty to divulge that information at this time. But stick around to the Desmond Johnson show because you can get the exclusive on that probably here soon, probably before the week is over with. So stick around for that. But I got to get everybody out of here. Everybody enjoy your Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow with Mark Pruitt from Winston-Salem Journal. We'll preview both of those 2 games. Dudley's still running around in 3A too. So we're going to preview those big 3.
And they shutting it down. They gave up 9 points in their last 6 games.
Yo, they gave up a touchdown. They only George, this Dudley here in Greensboro, they only allowed 15 points the whole year. And then they gave up a touchdown in the first quarter of this game last week. They ended up winning 20-7, but they
didn't blank the last 4.
Yeah, they're a problem. They are a serious problem. So we're getting all that tomorrow and more. Check this out on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. The audio will be out a little bit later on. Shout out to George Teague. Shout out to Jaelen Gilkey. Have them both back on soon. Everything was great today. We'll talk to you guys soon.